Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for being here on a holiday. Greatly appreciate it. And happy Labor Day. Let's go look back last week from a standpoint of players of the game. Offensively, Justin Jackson had a terrific football game and left some opportunities out there. We definitely could have had more yardage, but I thought he played outstanding. Big playmaker was Christian Jones. Obviously, I think 4 out of 5 of his catches were for third down conversions, if I'm not mistaken. And a big day by him. Just really was absolutely outstanding. Great to have him back. Defensively, Anthony Walker was all over the place. Actually had 2 interceptions that he dropped that could have been added to that stat line. So really was active and played well behind a defensive front, like I said, that I thought dominated the line of scrimmage. And that started and ended with Dean Lowry, and he was our big playmaker. He was very active. He's done a terrific job. Special teams-wise, our special teams player of the week was Keith Watkins. Keith was all over the place, played very well. Great to have him back. He was playing well early last year, and then we lost him in the Penn State game for the year. So to have him back is terrific. And then from a practice player standpoint, Corey Acker on offense, Tom Ruby on defense, and then freshman Trey Williams for special teams. So those 3 guys will travel with us and do a great job. Looking back at the video, just not consistent enough offensively. I thought we had too many one-man breakdowns that left a lot of yards and a lot of opportunity out there. And then, obviously our inefficiency in the red zone. We get trips down there and we come up with just field goals and not touchdowns. That is going to be a recipe for disaster as we move forward. And an area, obviously, that we've got to get cleaned up. Defensively, we had some communication issues. But what I was pleasantly surprised by, frankly, like it would be with any team, how well we tackled in the opener. I thought we tackled very, very well, and that was a positive. So a lot of work to do in all 3 phases, and I know the guys will be hungry to get back on the field. They were great this morning, and looking forward to the challenge against EIU. So with that, how about some questions?
Pat, after that game, there's a lot of talk about the last time you beat a ranked opponent in the season opener. Can you talk about the second game and what you learned from it and you want to pass on to your players?
Well, you've got to let it go. Anytime you have success or failure, you just got to let it go and move on. And we talk about trying to go 1-0 each week and then back to 0-0. And you have success by the way that you typically prepare. And if you bring that with you to the weekend, and I thought we did that for week 1, which was a good job by the guys. And now we're into a typical game week. So, how are we going to handle our business today? Our film study and prep for tomorrow, and then getting into our normal game week routine. I look forward to seeing the leadership and, the maturity of this year's team. So got to let it go. Just got to move on and move forward.
Pat, what did you see from the freshmen who got their first taste of it on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought Tommy Vitale played pretty well in the kicking game. I thought Montre was outstanding. He's a talented young guy. Jordan got out there, I think, for about 10 or 12 reps. His name never came up as a negative, so that's positive for a defensive tackle. And then, Flynn and Jelani got out there a little bit, and we'll continue to, all 5 guys will continue to play more as the season goes along. But, I was pleased. All 5 were at breakfast on time. All 5 got on the bus. All 5 showed up. So good news is their first game's over. Now we move on, and they need to get a lot better.
Follow up on that. Did you have Tommy Vitale in on one offensive play on the goal line?
Did you watch the tape? I'm not telling you then.
Okay. And then I guess the real question is just going over the tape. What do you think of the offensive line play? Seemed like they were pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think they were very average. I think that we've got a long way to go there. Very inconsistent. Way too many one-man breakdowns. I thought our body language at times was very poor. We're gonna need to play more guys up there. That's the bottom line. Too much inconsistency. And so that was a group that I was probably most disappointed with in the way that they played.
When you think about consistency of performance throughout the season, do you look to your defense and maybe even special teams as being able to provide that on a week-to-week basis?
Well, Freddie, I hope it's all 3 phases. We need to get a lot better offensively. 2 trips in the red zone with no points, our inability to run the ball first and goal at the 5. Some decision-making with the ball in the red zone at the quarterback position. Those are things that will get you beat. And we were fortunate in some of those plays So, as you look at the big picture, you're ecstatic that you won. I mean, absolutely. You want to win the opener. You want to beat a ranked opponent. All the things we've talked about way too much already. But when you go back and you watch the video and you see inconsistency, you put that on yourself as coaches first. And the thing we walked off the field saying, and Adam owned it right away, I should have played more guys. I didn't play. We didn't stick to our plan. Our plan was to play more O-linemen, and we didn't play enough. And that's because right now we don't have a consistent five. We're not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet. So a lot of work for that group. A lot of work. Same thing at Superback. We were not very good at Superback on Saturday. I don't think Danny and Garrett, really had no impact in the game. And they're too good of players. G's got to have a bigger impact, and so does Danny for us to be successful moving forward.
How important is it for you as coaches to have a look at game video of the new quarterback of Clayton, and how important is it for Clayton to have a look at game video and critiquing himself as to what he did on Saturday?
Yeah, it's critically important. The goal for him was to not turn it over and win the football game. And then learn and grow through each rep that he takes. And I think he did all three very well. I thought, we won. Good job. He was close to turning it over, but he didn't. Which was a good job. And, I think he walked out of the film room today going, whoa, I got away with some, touched the stove a little bit, and I better not do that again. And, I thought he made some big plays. Obviously that third down play at the end of the game to Miles was a big-time throw. His ability to make some plays with his feet. I think he's just going to continue to get confidence as we continue to move forward.
With the pass rush, it looked like you guys mixed in sort of blitz packages like at the right time. Do you think you sort of caught Stanford off guard a bit with that?
I have no idea what they think, but I would know that we felt like we had a good plan. A lot of similarities to some things that we've done, but I thought Hank and the guys had a really good plan.
How do you think Ifadi played, especially against the run? Maybe I know he was effective in the pass rush.
No, I think he was inconsistent. I think he'd be the first one to sit up here and tell you that. I think he's got to be much more consistent. But in the pass rush game, he was pretty good. But he's got to become a complete 3-down player. We've got too much depth there, and he's got to become a 3-down player, and he's working at it. He's working at it.
So what were you hoping to see from Christian Jones in his first game back, and how did that compare with how he played?
Well, I wanted him to have fun. I think that getting back out there, getting tackled, getting rolled up, that first hurdle to get over is pretty hard. It's tough. I mean, mentally. It's more difficult mentally than it is physically. And I texted him on Saturday night just how happy I was for him, and I think he sent me an emoji with a smiley face. So that's good. I'm just so happy for him to get out there. He's worked so hard to get back, having a setback in the off season and then, having to come back again. That was just great to have him back out there, and I'm just so happy for him. Obviously, you can see the production he had. He's a playmaker for us.
Speaking of mentally alert, he gets a compliment for Macon Wilson for jumping on that ball, which could have been a critical turnover there in the second half. I mean, it looked like everybody was kind of waiting, but he jumped on it right away. Obviously, was trained to do that.
Yeah, well, we coached that. If you remember the Syracuse game a couple years ago, we won that game because Chi-Chi scooped that play up. Same type of play. Any play that's thrown laterally, anything laterally, we should always pick up offensively and defensively. It's something that we coach. It's something that we talk about. We practice it, and not to do that would have been really disappointing. I don't like the decision to throw the ball. Right then and there, we should, Clayton should have run that ball. He should not have thrown it. Really should have handed the ball off. The read was to hand it off. So it's kind of a double negative. Hand it, didn't do it. Run it, threw it. So we've got a long way to go. We got a long, long way to go offensively.
How tough was the decision to kick the field goal I believe it was in the fourth quarter, up 13-6, I think the 49-yarder, and what was the decision-making process there?
Yeah, we're in 4-down alert there for the offense, and then it comes down to down and distance, right? If it's 4th and something, I'm not going to tell you the number. I'm probably going for it there, but it was 4th and longer than I wanted. Jack had plenty of leg on the 48-yarder into the wind. And he had, obviously would probably been good for him. It was 49 and a half, so I think he cleared it by about 7 yards. So I think he would have been good from about 55 on that kick. So, and he didn't hit it very well. His trajectory was not very good all day. I mean, Fred, you probably saw the rotation of the ball. It wasn't. He didn't strike it very well all day. So he's got a lot of work to do. He's been nursing a lower body injury throughout, a nag throughout camp, and he's not the finished product right now coming out of camp in game one. And you could see from the rotation. I mean, the chip shot that he had. I mean, he hit the speaker. Everybody's fired up about Bryant hitting the speaker last night. I mean, Jack hit a speaker on Saturday. Nobody talked about that. So he's got a lot of work to do.
So the decision was between going for it and kicking field goal as opposed to punting.
Yeah.
To the extent that moving forward, there's film and footage for opposing teams to see Thorson now. Would that affect any plans to change things up with him, or you just sort of concentrate on getting him better during the fundamental thing?
Yeah, well, it's the whole package. He's got to improve. He's got one game under his belt. And he was very, I think, clear on what our expectations are for him moving forward. After talking to Mick a little bit, he didn't walk in this morning like, "Wow, I've arrived." He walked in like, "Wow, we've got a lot of work to do," but that's first game experience, and he'll be much better. He'll be much better because of it. And EIU presents a lot of challenges because of that. They're very similar to Stanford, that they run a 3-down package. They've got a really dynamic blitz package. They're very talented in the back seven. They've got an outstanding All-American defensive tackle that has really impressed me on video. So they're going to present definite challenges defensively for our offense.
To the extent that he showed that he can run well, that could actually help in terms of defenses being aware of the option.
Yeah. Yep. That would be good. No, I mean, we've got a lot of work to do. I mean, I'm not going to get up here and talk scheme ever, but we've got a lot more to do fundamentally than for me to get worried about getting to chapter 28 of the scheme right now. I mean, offensively, we're not where we need to be.
So I imagine coming off the first win against a ranked team, the players are feeling pretty good about themselves. Is there some benefit for you to kind of emphasize what they didn't do as well so that, they don't get too big-headed?
Yeah, I think after watching the video, there aren't too many big heads around here right now. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. The most important picture was that the Cats won by 1. That's all that matters. I mean, that's our number one goal each week, is to win. And the other things are on all of us. We've got to coach better. The guys have got to take that coaching better. We've got to be more consistent. And the thing I talked to him about today is I'm tired of being average. And average comes from being inconsistent. And I thought we had a very average performance as a football team on Saturday. I think we can be much better in all 3 phases. We had some young guys in the kicking game that looked like they hadn't played in a kicking game in their life, and maybe they hadn't. But I thought guys weren't playing fast. I thought guys were jogging. I didn't think we were physical at times. And then some of our veterans, though, the good news is in the kicking game, played very well. The guys like Keith Watkins that have been out there before. And then I see Montre played the way that he did as a young guy. So it's just consistency in the messaging and the coaching and the teaching. And then just practicing your butt off to get 1% better. We've just got to keep working to get better. It's typically in week 1 and week 2, you improve a lot fundamentally, and you improve a lot as a team. Because especially for a lot of guys that hadn't played before, all of a sudden the coaching makes a whole heck of a lot more sense right now when you went out there and you fundamentally screwed it up, or you mentally screwed it up, and you go, and now I see what coach is doing. It's just part of life. It's part of growing up. And some guys can figure it out right away, and other guys, I got a size 12, and it's going to be a long week, and it's going to be a long month before we get into Big Ten play, because they've got to get better and they've got to embrace what to do and how to do it, and do it not some of the time but all the time. And we're just not there yet. But I love the attitude and I love the energy. And obviously defensively, if we hold people to 6 points, we can win a lot of football games. But to think we're going to do that every week is we'd be sadly mistaken. So we've got to be much better offensively, much more consistent.
Fitz, you said after the game, Coach came up to you and said, "I should have stuck to the plan." What was that plan?
Yeah, we wanted to play more guys. Yeah, we wanted to roll more offensive linemen in there, and we didn't do it. We didn't do it. We need to do it. We're not consistent enough right now up front. And it goes back to, and I probably talked to you about this at length about when I was a position coach, and I just fundamentally believe this. If I've got 2 players that are really close, and nobody's that head and shoulders above someone else, then I think you should play them both. And let competition not only be Monday through Friday, but Monday through Sunday. And whoever shows up and plays the most consistent football is a guy that deserves to go out there and at least be the starter and get more of the reps. So we've got to figure some things out. I thought the guys, when we started really going with some tempo, the last group to get lined up was the O-line. The last group to make a call was the O-line. The last group to do what was right was the O-line, and that's not acceptable. So they got a lot of work to do. They are far, far from being the finished product.
And after the game, Justin said the difference between last year and this was that the team had more confidence in itself and that it went out there knowing it was going to win the game. Did you sense that? And what did that do, or how did that influence their performance, that confidence?
I think that confidence came from the way that they prepared from January on. The guys have really worked hard. They've had great leadership. They've really challenged themselves and each other, held each other accountable. And I think, Saturday was evidence that when we at least try to scratch the surface of our standard of what our expectations are, we can beat anybody we play. So we got to quit flirting with it. And we got to just embrace it, and we've got to continue to just work and grind and make it be continually something that we take pride in and we have great habits with. We're not there yet. That inconsistency again comes back, I think, just from habitual repetition. If you have good habits, it comes from reps of doing the right thing, and we're not there yet.
You talked about in the press conference after the game on Saturday about how you were happy with how the offensive staff sort of managed the game plan to put Clayton in a good position. With an FCS opponent coming up after a good start against Stanford, do you plan to sort of open it up a little bit more for him, see what you have working with maybe the next level, just to sort of gain more consistency, maybe more dynamic plays in the offense?
We're going to run every play we've got. Absolutely. A to Z. I'm never going to talk scheme, guys. I don't mean to be a jerk, but I'm just not going to talk about it. So we got a lot of work to do fundamentally. I'll talk about that, but I'm not going to talk about scheme, what we're going to do, what we might do, what we might not do. Sun came up, sun goes down. So that's what we're doing schematically.
Pat, I thought it was noticeable Saturday how quickly the refs spotted the ball in play. Was that a point of emphasis in the offseason for referees? And also, the clock didn't stop very long on first downs. It was rolling right away once they spotted that ball.
Yeah.
It used to be a longer stop there once you got a first down.
Yeah, we had Pac-12 crew. I thought they were great. I thought their communication was excellent. It started pregame. I mean, it's going to the 8-man crew really helps. Now that you've got 8 officials out there, you've got the center judge and/or the umpire that can spot the ball. I think if you're a tempo team, when you get that 8th official added, you got pretty ecstatic. It definitely helps from the mechanical standpoint, and I thought that crew was excellent.
How's Cam Dickerson doing? Is that something that happened I know you're probably not going to say exactly what happened, but did that happen in practice last week?
No, it happened in camp. Yeah, no, it happened actually early in camp. And so we'll see. He's kind of week to week. We'll see what happens.
One problem with the offensive line early was the high snaps, and that seemed to get better in the second half. Was it just a little case of nerves because it was his first game at center? Or what?
I don't know. It's unacceptable, though. If you can't snap the ball, you can't play. So it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Cannot happen. So, makes you appreciate a guy like Brandon Vitale. He never asked me about a snap in 4 years. Maybe one Ohio State game, right? So, that's unacceptable. You got a job to do. The first things first, snap the ball. So we got to be better there.
It's when you say it was an average performance by the team, are you including the defensive line in that?
No. No, but again, I thought the defense from a standpoint up front dominated. I think I've been pretty clear on that. But our communication, our expectations are, again, we expect to win every game. And frankly, I expect for our front to play that way every game. I think it's one of our deeper units. I haven't hidden that. I've talked about that all offseason. And so that was no surprise to me or to us. We expected that. I don't think we had a D lineman play more than 5 snaps in a row. We played 9 guys, and Kuhar will be back with us soon. We're going to be playing 10 guys. And that's a recipe for something special. But, our communication, we had, I think, 4 or 5 plays. I don't know if you remember, Godwin, it was like 5 plays, right, that we had communication issues where secondary wasn't on the same page as the front. And those are things that get you beat. And I liked it. I met with the leadership council, and one of the guys says, man, the crowd was louder than we thought it was going to be. All right. I like it. That's what I'm talking about. So, gaining on it as a program. Fans are coming along with us, Skip. It's great. It's great. It's great.
Would you look to do the same thing with the offensive line then?
What's that?
No more than 5 plays in a row?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'd like to see us get a snap and have 5 guys operate as one heartbeat for 80 plays, regardless of what jersey number's out there. How's that sound? That would be ideal. That would be ideal. And we're not there yet. So we're going to have an awesome week of practice with those guys. It is going to be a joy. I don't really care what we do. I want the snap where it needs to be. I want us targeting the right guy. I want us playing with some tempo and dispatch and showing an attitude that we're going out to roll somebody and win the 6-inch war. That's all. That's it. It's not hard. Get your hands inside, move your feet, keep our quarterback clean. And we're just not there yet. And I'm not surprised from a standpoint because a couple days, at least Monday's practice last week was not very good by our O-line. I thought it got a little bit better, but we are not where we need to be there.
So I guess I'm wondering if this was such like an average performance and there's so much more room to improve, how did you beat a good team, a ranked team, with an average performance?
Yeah, we didn't turn the ball over. We stopped the run. We were able to run the ball efficiently. We were able to get field goals in the red zone, which put points on the board. We caused, I think, some very opportunistic turnovers that were critically important to the game. We kept the ball out of their playmakers' hands for the most part in the kicking game. I was a little disappointed with our kickoffs and a little disappointed with our yardage per se in the punt game, but not disappointed with what our plan was from a standpoint not to have McCaffrey touch the ball. I think he's very dynamic. I think he's a terrific football player. But when you said a standard, you're asking me about specific things. I mean, I'm ecstatic that we won. Trust me, I'll never be upset about a victory. But when you see what we potentially could be, potential leads to inconsistency, right? I'm done with potential. I want to see production, period. Production. And if you can't produce, you are going to be replaced. And that is the beautiful thing about the 2015 Wildcats right now is I'm not sitting here handcuffed anymore, not having somebody to go to. We've got competitive depth. We got guys that want to play. We've got a hungry attitude and a team that wants to compete to win every football game. Looking back in the rearview mirror, we haven't had that in a couple of years. And that gives you great confidence as a coach because if a guy's not going to do it the way we need him to do it, he's going to go sit down. And he can either figure it out and get it fixed or he can watch. It's a great seat standing next to me, but it sure stinks being there. So figure it out.
Obviously, Christian Jones had a really good game in his first game back at wide receiver, but how would you sort of grade that position group as a whole, and where would you sort of look to improve going forward?
Yeah, well, the 2 penalties are unacceptable, especially when the officials did a great job saying, hey, we're letting you know that your hands are getting a little bit too far outside, and we warn the guys that, if we get our hands outside the framework, we're going to get called. And so I thought that's where – I love officials that are like that. They give you a chance to coach the guys up, and that was terrific. And then we go out and we talked about how critical the first drive of the third quarter was, and we go out and get a penalty, by a fifth-year guy. That can't happen. That cannot happen. And so we've got to start faster, both sides. We didn't start fast enough on the first series defensively. We didn't start fast enough in the first drive offensively. So, but from a wide receiver group as a whole, I thought we blocked pretty well on the perimeter. I thought that we ran pretty solid routes. I think as we continue to get timing and rhythm, really we only had about a week's worth of time, week and a half, with Clayton being the starter. So I think that timing, the rhythm, the cohesiveness will improve with that group and Clayton. But at the same time, there are definitely plays out there that we left that could have been big explosive plays. That again we talked about in the offseason. We need to make more explosive plays to be successful consistently, and we're just. I think maybe the average team is a little bit more offensively than it maybe is as a team, if that makes sense.
Anything else for Coach? All right.
Great, thanks. Thanks again for being here on the holiday. Have a great week. Go Cats.